generation born today could realize about $260 trillion more in economic output in OECD countries if we were able to succeed what the best performing education systems like Finland show is possible to achieve. If you look to Finland in Europe, to Canada in North America, to Japan and Korea in Asia, those systems show today that it's possible to achieve those outcomes. They have very high aspirations. They back that up with very strong support systems for school. They give schools room to maneuver. They have systems of intelligent accountability to intervene when things go wrong. And they basically have very open and flexible education systems. Poland launched a massive reform of its education systems in 1999 by changing the structure of its education system, by changing the incentive systems, by putting more effort, more resources into teachers and teaching and learning. And the results are quite spectacular. Often we are held back by imagining that educational reform takes so long to complete. But the example of Poland shows that in a reasonable time frame, you can actually achieve a lot. We see that at many schools. We see that in a country like Finland that in the 1960s was also just an average performer. I think the world can learn that success is possible in reasonable periods of time. If we don't know how successful we are with individual students, with schools and education systems, it's going to be very hard to get things right. I mean, one of the remarkable outcomes in Europe is the enormous dispersion of results. Some countries, some schools, very successful, others not. How do you get the teacher in one classroom to learn from the teacher in the neighboring classroom? How do you get a school to improve, to learn from the success of the neighboring school? How do you get systems to improve? It's not necessarily about naming and shaming, but it is about making results transparent. Improved performance in education will have a huge impact on the economic success of European countries. What the study, however, also shows that it's not the quantity of education, but the quality of learning outcomes that drives those improved economic outcomes. So it will be very, very important for Europe to specify its future target, not just in terms of getting more people through the school systems, but in terms of real improved learning outcomes. That's going to be the key to success. It's about new ways of thinking. It's about creativity, innovation, and problem solving, critical thinking. It's about new ways of working, collaboration, interpersonal skills. It's about new tools for working, information technology. How do we get people to capitalize on the potential of new technology? And very important, how do we live in an increasingly heterogeneous world, in a world that's changing fast, where we need to find our right positions? I mean, it's specifying goals in education in those terms, not just what we have done in the past, but the kind of skills that matter for our future. Wealth creation will be a very, very important dimension unless we can actually demonstrate the link between education and economic outcomes. Education will remain a footnote in the discussion of finance ministers, but it's only one dimension. I think we need to look at social outcomes much more broadly. It's human capital, it's social capital, it's economic capital. We need to look at those kinds of interrelationships. Those kinds of interrelationships determine the progress of societies, and I think making those visible, making them clear, I think is going to be very, very important.